Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me? Awesome. I want to say that I'm very honored to be speaking in front of you today. So, friends, family, Alma faculty, administration, students, graduates. Let me begin by congratulating you all on this June day of your accomplishment. I address you. I keep looking. They're not graduating. You're graduating. Whole thing. It should be noted that this is not your first accomplishment or even your 1085th accomplishment. But you do hold the rather special and significant position of being the first graduating class of Alma's MFA program. You are the bright and steady rock upon which this program is being built. So again, congratulations. I am also fully aware, as is everyone standing witness to this special moment, that this is not a commencement of an undergraduate class. It's not even a commencement of an MFA class whose body is made up of people who are necessarily very recent undergraduates. It's something altogether different, this low-res MFA. This program is made up of adults from every kind of background, made up of parents like me, of people with jobs and lives, where others depend on you. The reason a recent undergraduate might enter an MFA program will be often wildly different than someone in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. To have lived a life for years and then to choose to return to school, to art, to carve out the time, to almost will it out of nothing for art, for writing, to not only carve out the time, but to dig into one's own pocket to do so is not the actions of a starry-eyed dreamer in your average MFA program, but a serious, well-thought-out act of a full-blown adult, a mature act often supported by one's wife, husband, partner, children, and friends. To be away from family and friends, both twice a year at residency and at home, working on your craft, fulfilling your packets, corresponding with mentors is, in my opinion, an artist's choice, not a student's choice. For me to stand here and offer you aphorisms about an imagined future in your chosen field or read the lyrics of some anthemic feel-good song would be to treat you as students. But I do not think you are simply students. I am a stranger here, visiting on what could be described as a family celebration, your own as well as the family you have created here at Alma College. I am a stranger, yet I know from the brief time with you that you are artists, you are fellow writers. So I'm not here to offer you some piece of wisdom you already have, but I am here to celebrate you. And I would like to try to give you some encouragement, a little pep talk, and perhaps some unasked for advice from the after, which is to say, from life beyond the MFA. Let's start with the unasked for advice. And since this is a commencement speech, and from everything I watched on YouTube when I Googled great commencement speeches, I'm told I should first share with you one of my favorite allegorical stories. So here is one from the Brothers Grimm, a story I both like and dislike. Once upon a time, in a deep dark wood, lived a mouse, a bird, and a sausage. They were the best of roommates and had lived happily together for some years. Every day was the same. each leaning into their own natural talents. After getting up in the morning and having a bit of porridge, the mouse, the bird, and the sausage would begin their daily routine. The bird would head out to the forest to collect twigs to keep the home fire burning and her roommates warm all night. The mouse would make the bed, sweep the floor, and then take a little mid-afternoon nap. The sausage would make a great pot of soup on the hearth. The sausage was a talented chef as well as a keen swimmer. If the soup was in need of more flavor, the sausage would dive in and swim a couple laps, seasoning the soup as he swam. One day, while the bird was out collecting twigs, she heard a crow up in some branches laughing. "What's so funny?" the bird asked. "You are," replied the crow. "No, I'm not," said the bird. "Yes, you are," said the crow. "You're a sucker. Every day you risk life and limb out here in the dark forest collecting twigs, while at home your pals are warm and safe. You're being hustled," said the crow. "You're a sucker," and he went on laughing. The bird looked up at him and said something like, "Eat worms. You don't know what you're talking about." But on the way home, the bird couldn't get the crow's words out of her mind. And by dinner, she was so angry she couldn't eat any of the soup the sausage had made. "What's up with you?" asked the mouse. "You're what's up with me," the bird yelled. "You two have been taking advantage of me for too long, and starting tomorrow, we are switching jobs. Sausage, you're going to go collect twigs. Mouse, you're going to make the soup. And as for me, I'm going to make the beds and nap all day." And at that, the bird stormed off to bed. In the morning, the three friends began their new lives. After breakfast, the sausage went out to collect twigs, the mouse began to make the soup, while the bird made the beds, swept the floor, and nestled down for a nap. About an hour into the sausage's adventure collecting twigs, a wolf appeared on the path. "What are you doing?" asked the wolf. "Collecting twigs," said the sausage. "That's cool," said the wolf, and then the wolf ate the sausage whole. Back home, the bird woke up to the smell of the so-so soup Mouse was making. "Where's Sausage?" asked the bird. "Don't know," said Mouse. "He should have been home by now." A little worried, Bird went out into the forest to find her friend. She looked everywhere, then spotting a wolf, asked if he had seen a sausage. "Yes," the wolf said brightly. "Where is he?" asked the bird. "I ate him," said the wolf. The bird, horrified, turned tail and flew home. Meanwhile, the mouse decided the soup needed more seasoning, and remembering how Sausage would take a swim in the soup to flavor it, dived into the pot. But the soup being quite hot by now, and the mouse being a lousy swimmer, it drowned, its dead body floating between a piece of carrot and a piece of potato. When the bird came flying into the kitchen, yelling that Sausage had been eaten, she saw Mouse's lifeless body floating in the pot and absolutely lost her mind, flapping her wings wildly, which kicked up some coals in the fireplace, some sparks of which landing on the rug, the window drapes, causing a huge fire, and the bird, unable to find its way out through the smoke, burned to death. The end. It's a sweet little story. What I like about this story is that there's a sausage in it. And that sausage can make soup and is a pretty good swimmer. I love that. What I don't like about the story is the not-so-hidden message, that we should all stay in our own lanes, that we should do what we have been naturally disposed to do, or told to do, or implied that we are good at, and that if we try something new, it will not end well. In fact, we may die. Many of you have already said no to this false allegory in your own lives by simply being here. But my advice to you is this: to continue to live as much as possible outside the box society or family or even you have built for yourselves. To even ignore the particular genre you've devoted this part of your life to, and to simply write. Write whatever you feel. To not feel beholden to any one understanding of who you are as a writer, an artist, a creative person. My advice, as silly as it sounds, is to not think of yourself as a sausage, a bird, or a mouse, a poet, a fiction writer, a nonfiction writer, but to think of yourselves as all things. Belief in yourself as a writer will come and go your whole life. One day you will feel like Uncle Walt, that you contain multitudes, and the next you will feel as empty as a bowl on a shelf. The answer to both of these feelings is to simply write, to sit down and make the work you make that day, no matter the genre, no matter the story, no matter what. Now that sounds almost peppy. So here's my pep talk in a nutshell. A pep talk a mentor gave me when I graduated from my own MFA program. She said, "Matthew, just know this, that the world will be fine if you never, ever write anything again the rest of your life. But it will be a much more interesting world, a much more interesting life if you do." As strange as it might sound, I found her comment to be such a gift, a release from the imagined pressure I had built up for myself, that the degree I was receiving was somehow a promise to the world and I needed to fulfill it, because it isn't. It is the symbol of hard work, the symbol of time spent, of an experience had, but it is not a promise to break or make. I think there's a freedom in knowing it's okay to write or not write, a freedom you deserve after all of your hard work. For my part, I hope you do continue to write. In fact, unlike my mentor, I'm begging you to write. I hope you write and publish a bunch of books, an act that can feel much more possible when you are surrounded by a community like you are today, when you are shoulder to shoulder with those that support you. But the thing, what this whole day is about, is this. You are leaving one experience full of encouragement, sustenance, mentoring, understanding, and you are commencing to enter the afterworld of the sometimes fairy tale that an MFA can feel like. At times, it'll be a little lonely. Life is about to swell back up like a creeper wave, full of work deadlines, children to wrangle, loads of laundry to wash, beds and soup to make, jobs to be at, heating bills to pay. All the things you have been doing, but now without this place to add balance and light. I believe you can do it, partly because I'm a hopeful person, and partly because I ended up doing it myself. It was not easy. It was not about talent or luck or anything like that. It was about sitting down and writing. It's about leaving one place that protected the act of creation for you and learning quickly to protect it on your own, which you can do. Most of you will continue to write, to add to the great song, as some very romantic poets say. And some of you will publish, and these things will both change and not change your life. But I'll tell you something you already know, that no book, no poem in the New Yorker, no agent looking over a short story collection has ever prevented illness, layoffs, divorce, accidents, global warming, wars, or anything else that threatens human happiness. I say this because I believe that part of the longevity for an artist and their craft is a healthy sense of perspective. Still, the creative act has changed the people who engage in it, either by the making or experiencing of it. And so it also has the power to change, if ever so slightly, the people they interact with. This is something you have been cultivating here at Alma College, and it's a powerful thing to have done. Perhaps that's a lukewarm pep talk, but I'm the kind of writer who can't seem to write an ode or love poem without a bit of a funeral written in. So let me try a little encouragement. I encourage you to be proud of this accomplishment of yours when you go back home, even if back home some people may have no idea what an MFA is or even what an Alma College is. I encourage you to be fierce in the pledges you've made to your classmates you are leaving behind to keep in touch. These bonds can save your emotional life, which is to say, your creative life. I encourage you to forget any hard or fast rules about writing you've learned here and to choose heart over ideas. I encourage you not to think of your thesis as a first book, but as a path you have taken to write your first of many books. I encourage you to place the same amount of value in the idea of inspiration as you might in a very long line at the DMV. I encourage you to find success in the making of your art and not in the thing made. I encourage you to find joy in the making. I encourage you to keep writing. And I want to say that I am encouraged, deeply encouraged by the very fact of you, that in this world which seems to ebb and flow in cruelties, there are people like you, writers, artists. It's not just because we're in a chapel today that you remind me a little of early Christians, huddled together in an upstairs room, keeping the candle lit, reciting new prayers, while the Romans marched through the streets, flipping over carts, terrorizing the neighborhood. And with our country's newfound throwback fascination with book banning by the right, and some recent wild nights of self-righteous book burning by the left, I don't think the analogy is too far off. We are strange, we humans. We are the dominant animal on earth, an animal that, by the way, doesn't think it's an animal. We see meaning where there isn't any, which is both magical and troublemaking. We have transformed evolution from tailbones into smartphones. We are the only animals who have consciously tried over and over to end our own species. But we are also the only animals that tell stories the way we do. And that is strange and wonderful. And not only do we tell these stories, but an even smaller group of us write those stories down in prose, poetry, and song. That's who we are, a subset of the human animal, writers, strange and wonderful among our kind. And perhaps to remember that is all the encouragement any of us truly need. This MFA degree, this experience you've had at Alma College, was never the beginning of your writing life, and it won't be the end. There's a whole life of writing in the after, and I'm glad that you're coming to join me there. The title of this commencement speech is A Note of Encouragement from the After. But I'm just realizing that the title is all wrong. Not a lie exactly, but certainly a false start. Because as I stand here, thinking of the six of you, imagining all that you have written and all that you will write, as I dream of your stories and how you might tell them, how varied and far-reaching they are and will be, as I think of the poems I will read of yours and how they will lift me out of a sadness, how a stanza from something you will write will make me tear up or shake my head and say out loud, damn, that's good. I know this is not a note of encouragement from the after, not really, but rather a note of thanks from the future, from me, your future reader, and a note of thanks on behalf of my children, your future readers, and on and on. Thank you. Thank you for all you have given up to write, to be here. Thank you. Thank you for all you have sacrificed. Thank you for all your hard work, for every book you've ever read, each first draft. Thank you. Thank you for your creativity, your hearts. Thank you for all you've poured into the programs, for all you've poured into your lives, that just a little of that might one day pour into mine, your devoted reader. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All of us gathered here to honor your achievement, we thank you.